So welcome back here. I am starting to grind away on the side of the wave runner here. So I'm going to take you down here and show you what I'm up against. Okay, so here you go. And this is what I'm opening up now. So you probably saw in the initial video that it didn't seem to be that big of a crack. So I was able to grind this back and start tapering as I need to see what I'm up against here for getting some sort of backer in there so that we have support, right? So we're good here. I had to grind a little bit farther forward than what I thought. Coming back here, and then I stopped. You're gonna see where that crack keeps going, right? So it looked good and solid, but give me a second here, I'm gonna show you something. So like I say, it looked good and solid. I put the screwdriver in there and gave her a little bit of a pry. So our crack or our damage here is going back an additional 2-3 inches. So I'm gonna try bringing it back somewhere around here, I think. And hopefully it ends there, because that's getting to be a lot of damage. So anyways, just wanted to show you that, and we'll see where we're at when we resume the video. I'm going to be doing some more grinding on this thing back here behind me. We went through that in the first video. So today what I'm doing is I have my epoxy and I have my hardener here, and this has been sitting for a little bit of time. So I'm using, what is it? The Epoxy System 100, and this is by Gel Coat International, and I'm using their 300 series intermediate epoxy resin. So for this stuff here, it gives you an 18 to 20 minute working time approximately, and that's going to work out fine for us. This epoxy system is nice in a way where it's a multi-part system. So everything is on the back of all their hardening cans, but it tells you right back here on if it's a 5-to-1 ratio or 3-to-1 ratio. So this can be used either which way. So what we're going to do, again, this has been sitting for some time. What I did do prior to the video was I filled up a bucket of warm, hot water from the tap, and I placed both of these into the bucket so that they would heat up. So they probably sat in there probably up 45 minutes or so. And what that allowed it to do was it was really thick and, yucky, basically. So what that did was it warmed up the epoxy and warmed up the hardener. Not sure if you can hear that, but it's a good liquid now. So I took my handy dandy temp gun here and I took a temperature reading on both. The epoxy right now is sitting at 25 degrees Celsius. And the hardener itself is sitting at 21 degrees Celsius. So we're good to go. What that allows you to do, it's easier to work with. Again, it's been sitting for some time, so give everything a good shake, get everything mixed back up in there. You don't want to have any issues. So what we're doing is we're just going to do a test. And just a simple test. I'm going to do what they're recommending here, which is a 5-to-1 mix. 5 parts epoxy, 1 part hardener. And we're going to mix that up in a cup. We're going to pour some out into one of these lids, leave the rest in the cup, and we're going to make sure that first of all it's going to cure. It's going to cure hard, and we're not going to have any issues with it, because the last thing we want to do is get this all prepped up, get a mixture done, apply it to the unit, and the next day you're sitting there trying to get rid of this bubble gum mess that doesn't want to cure and doesn't want to come off very easily. So this is kind of a time-saving venture here. I still have quite a bit more grinding and sanding to do on the unit. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to pour this out so that when we do come back to do some layup here tomorrow, is that we're 100% certain that our epoxy system is going to work for us. What I have here are some measuring cups. I'm sure you guys have seen these before. These are PPG cups. The small one is an 8 ounce, medium size is 32 ounce. So this is what's available to me. This is what's, you know, most inexpensive in my area. So the nice thing I like about these cups though, is that they have your measurements here on the side. And so we're doing a 5-to-1 mixture here. And right here on the side, I'm not sure, I'm gonna move this up to the camera. So here we go, you can see that. So right here, basically you have increments of 5 and those are equal, right? So we're gonna do a 5-to-1. So we're gonna do 5 parts epoxy and then we're gonna do 1 part resin. So what I just noticed when I was explaining this is these smaller cups don't actually have a 5-to-1 ratio on them. Now these smaller cups are something new that I just started using. I was always using the medium cups because I had everything on there, and I assumed, and never assumed, that these had the same, but they do not. So what we're gonna do, it's gonna be simple, I'm gonna put this back up, is we're still gonna use our 1-to-1 scale right here. And these are gonna be 5 equal measurements basically. It's a 1-to-1, right? So simple, so we're gonna fill up one of these cups up to the 5. We're gonna take another one, gonna go back to our 1-to-1 scale, and we're gonna fill it up to the 1. And then that's gonna give us our 5-to-1, right? So we're gonna do that. That's the minimal amount of epoxy that I can do up. I'm gonna mix them together, pour them into the lid, and then we're gonna see what happens. Highly recommend wearing some gloves. They're not cool, it's not a fashion statement, but it makes cleanup a lot easier. And this stuff is pretty gooey. So here we go. Okay, so here we go. We got our 5 equal portions of epoxy, and we got our 1 equal portion of our hardener that we're going to use. So we're going to mix those together. Now what I want to point out here is you can get the pumps to use on these. Mixed feelings, if you're doing a big project and you're going to use up, you know, both containers relatively quick, then maybe that's something that you want to use if you're doing a lot of small batches. If you're leaving it sit for any amount of time, those pumps clog up, excuse me, and become useless basically over time, and more of a pain in the butt. So it's a little bit more messier to pour them out, but it's a lot simpler, a lot quicker. The one thing you do want to make sure too is that your lid area is clean, so that you're not putting dust and dirt and everything into your mix. So anyways, here we go. We're gonna put this in. The other thing I forgot the other day to tell you, you're gonna need a mixing stick. I just use whatever craft sticks or popsicle sticks that are available at the time, and order a bunch of them so that you're not looking for them all the time. But here we go. We're gonna mix this up and we're gonna see what happens. Here for a good 3 to 5 minutes. Make sure that it's all mixed in here and that everything's good. And after you're mixed up, it's giving you an 18 to 20 minute workable life. And you don't want to leave this amount in this little cup because it's going to get very hot really quick when it does start to kick off. But we're going to pour it out and we're going to see what happens here. Right now is we're not adding any fillers, Cavasil, microfibers, anything like that. All we're looking at right now is we want to make sure that our epoxy and our hardener are good and that we're going to get a cured result when this does cure, and it's not going to leave us hanging in the middle of a job with saggy, droopy, mushy epoxy that we somehow have to clean up, right? My shop temperature here is about 20 degrees, and I keep it at about 20 degrees Celsius. Summer it's warmer, but during the winter 20 degrees Celsius seems to be the happy spot that I'm comfortable. The units I'm working on are comfortable, and it provides a good working temperature for everything that you're using. So there we go, that looks pretty good, and as you can tell there, that's pretty runny. That's, you know, pure epoxy at, let's see what temperature we're at here. So that's at 30 degrees Celsius now. So it's already started to work, which is good. The fact that this stuff's warmer is gonna allow it to kick and start working a lot quicker. So there we go, we're mixed up. I'm happy with that. And then I have a lid off of one of my medium-sized containers here. And we're just going to pour this out. So there we go. We're not trying to make a mess here. And there. So that's down. We're basically going to just walk away and let that sit now. And I still have just less, well, 3 ounces left in that cup. So I'm going to pour that out equal portions into each cup here. And all this is going to do is prevent from anything deciding to start smoking and potentially burning, I guess. We don't want that to happen. So there we go. That's everything right now. I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to go back to grinding on this. We're going to let that do its thing. And when I see it next time, we're going to decide if this stuff works and what's going to happen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.